Welcome. This video is going to briefly show you how to set up a wiki for your classroom. Now make sure that you are on the Education tab when you go to Wikispaces.com and not the Personal tab, because there are some extra free features that are just for teachers. So if you click on Teachers, you can go ahead and sign up for an account. I've already got an account, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in just so I can show you how it all works. So when you log into Wikispaces, if you've already created any wikis, you'll see a list here so you can access them easily, and you'll see any things that have recently been changed to them. If you wanted to create a new wiki for your class, very simple, you just click the nice new wiki button in the top right. You have to give it a name. This will be the URL for your wiki, so new teachers who have done it with their last name, their room number, or what they like to call their classroom. So I'm just going to call this one testing for ascd.wikispaces.com, and you might have to try a few times to make sure that it's available. And there are three types of wikis. Now these are important because they'll define how your class works with it. Public, I don't generally use with my students at first. That's anyone can access it and anyone can edit it. I generally use protected. That way the student's work can still be seen by anyone, but the students are the ones who are responsible for creating and for editing. Private, this is one of the ones that would normally be $5 a month, but that's free for educators. If you wanted to use this, especially when your students are getting ready or when they're learning how to use the wiki, that makes it so that only your students can see it. Just make sure you specify that it is a K-12 wiki and not a personal one, and then certify that you're using it for education and hit create. So you see it's already created my wiki. I can change up pretty much anything about it. I called it testing for ASCD, so it's testing for ascd.wikispaces.com. And before your students see it, especially if you have younger students, you'll want to make the students the accounts, and I'll show you that in a moment. And you'll want to set up the shell of the wiki. So you'll want to set up the home page, you'll want to set up the navigation. That way it all makes sense when the students go there. So if I wanted to actually manage the wiki, set up the users, things like that, I would click this Manage Wiki button. And it'll give us all of the different options that we have that we can use with the wiki. Wiki statistics is nice. That way you can see where students, or where anyone really is coming to look at the site from. You can export your content, things like that, so that's very helpful. Under settings, if you wanted to change how it actually looks, you could change the theme and colors. If you know CSS, you can even make it custom, but for the most part, most people can just click on the different theme options and find different colors or styles that they like. User creator is where you create all your users for your wiki. So I want to make that for the users for this wiki. And I'm just going to paste it in text list. So just each user must be on its own line. So instead of, I probably wouldn't, especially with younger students, use their whole name. I would probably either use an alias if they're really young, or just a method that makes it easy for them to know who's doing what, but that doesn't necessarily compromise their privacy. So just like first initial and then last name. Go ahead and hit continue once you've added all of your students, and then they'll automatically have user accounts. Now, they can do it the long way of just coming to it, to Wikispaces, creating an email address, creating an account, and requesting access. But it's much smoother for the students. And you don't have to worry about them having email addresses if you just create the users for them. And go back home. Now, this is our home page. Right now it's pretty boring. The home page is where you want to explain the purpose. We know with any wiki, the general purpose is to have the students or the members creating knowledge, making connections, and learning from each other. However, using your own wiki as opposed to, say, a general one like Wikipedia, you want to have a purpose for it. Whether it's the class wiki where you're going to organize all the knowledge of the year, or whether it's for a specific project, say you're doing literature circles or vocabulary, you want to explain your purpose here. Okay, and this works just like a text editor. So you can bold or italicize or format the font however you like, add lists. If you needed to add a link. Sharing files is very helpful if you wanted to share an example project with a student or something like that. Widget is probably my favorite feature because you can add pretty much anything. If you wanted to add a YouTube video, you could just go to other HTML and paste in the code from YouTube. If you wanted to add a Google map, you could just go to Google Maps and paste in the link to the map. Or if you wanted to add a poll, you can create a poll. If you wanted to add a Google Doc, or if you wanted to add a slideshow from SlideShare, basically it lets you put content from pretty much any other website right on your page. Almost like making web design easy for anyone. So I'm going to go ahead and save this now. Okay, so if you wanted to create a new page, there are several ways to do it. You can see your pages under the Pages and File menu, and then you can create a new page. When you hit Create, it'll take you to your new page. I'm going to hit Cancel. If you want, you can go right up to your URL. So testxfrayst.wikispaces.com and just type in the address of a new page. So I did /help in case the kids need directions. You can see the page does not exist here, but I can create it easily just by typing the edit button. And once I'm in the page, all I have to do if I wanted to make connected pages, pages that it'll link to automatically, is I could type the page in brackets. So you see when I hit save, that's a link. That'll take me to a new page that I can create. And those connections on wikis are so important because the more pages that it links to, whether they're pages internally on the wiki or pages externally on the internet where you can find more information, those connections, think about them like connections in the brain. They help the learning become deeper, become more rooted. The whole idea of the wiki is seeing how information is connected to other information. And the more connections you can make, the more likely the students are to actually be learning it. You can use the wikis in any content area. Students have so much to offer, and it's so helpful for them to be able to create the knowledge themselves as opposed to receiving it. That way they can learn from each other, they can contribute to the class, they can contribute to the knowledge of as a whole on the internet, and it not only helps them learn, but it gives them a purpose outside of just the four walls of the classroom.